How about the players on the high school ranks, them being here for the spring game? Who'd you get to talk to, and who really liked the impression that Sark and his guys made on Saturday?
Yeah, obviously you have KJ Lacey there. I think having your quarterback commit see that level of play is important. I think this was his third visit this spring back to Austin. He brought his mom, his dad, and his little brother, so they had a really good time. We talked to him a little bit afterwards, and every time he comes back to Austin, it seems like he's getting closer and closer to just shutting this thing down and sticking with Texas. And we've never thought he wouldn't, but he was still visiting Auburn. He was still talking to Ole Miss and doing those things. And I asked him, I was like, he only has a Texas official visit set right now in June. And I was like, are you shutting this thing down? And he said he's getting there. So we'll see what that means. But, he had a really good time. I think the other big 2025 targets there, guys like Riley Pettijohn, who actually came in on Friday night with his mom and dad, and had his time with the coaching staff, took in the spring game. We didn't see him afterwards, but I was talking to his mom as they were walking in, and she was saying it was his girlfriend's birthday, so they were trying to zoom back home after the game. So maybe he ducked out a little bit early and got home to celebrate the birthday. But I think Texas is in really good shape there. After Elijah Bo Barnes, Riley Pettijohn's like the linebacker target. And I wouldn't be shocked to see a similar kind of, how it kind of proceeds with him. Bo Barnes visited April 6th, decided to just go ahead and commit. He was only at a top 10 at that point, was going to take some official visits, but decided, no, I'm just going to commit, join the class. I wouldn't be shocked to see Riley Pettijohn do that. He hasn't said he's going to do that, but, maybe take some, maybe, forego his official visit calendar and do that. We'll see. I'm just kind of speculating in my head, but he had a good time. Kelshawn Johnson, the big time wide receiver target, he was on campus. He's been in Austin several times this year. He has an official visit set in the summer, and that's going to come down to Texas and USC. I think Texas is leading there. There was an interesting visitor, Caleb Edwards, a four-star tight end from California. He made his way out. He's a big kid, 6'6", like 230. He was pretty easy to spot walking out. We talked to him a little bit. He's coming back for an official visit in the summer. He seems a little bit more wide open. He's going to take a bunch of officials and then make his decision, but he paid his own way out for an unofficial for the spring game, coming back on June 7th. We'll see what happens. And then probably the other biggest 2025 target was Nick Brooks, who's a top 100 offensive lineman from Iowa. And he was actually committed to Iowa at one point, decommitted this past fall. And he's looking around. He's going to come back for, I'm saying it with all these guys, he's coming back for an official visit in June as well. So it's going to be a crazy official visit season, but a lot of these guys are kind of getting a little appetizer of Texas at the spring game, either the spring game or the April 6th weekend to kind of, get a feel for it before coming back. So I think it was a successful weekend. It wasn't a huge turnout in terms of top targets, but, the guys they did have on campus, I think they really impressed, and I think they, helped themselves in several recruitments.
Hank Jose wants to know what's going on with Jordan Davison, the running back from Mater Dei.
Yeah, so
running back.
Yeah, so I'm my pick is still on Texas, and I'm a little hesitant to change it before official visits, but I feel like I'm getting closer to that. So Carlos Lachlan, who was the running backs coach at Oregon, he took over at Ohio State, and ever since then the buzz has been more towards Ohio State. And I will say, that happened. And then that weekend after that happened, Jordan Davison was actually in Austin for another unofficial visit. So he's been to Texas, I think 6 times in his recruitment. And he's coming back for an official visit in one of the June weekends. So that's, Texas is still very much in play there. I'm not moving off Texas just yet. I'm tempted to because what I'm about to say next, but yeah, we'll see. I think Ohio State is trending for him, but Texas is right there. They're not out of the, out of it by any means. But I will say, you got Ricky Stewart committed. He was the top in-state guy. They want him. He's locked in. The guy to watch right now is James Simon, and he's a 4-star running back from Shreveport, Louisiana. He was on campus this past weekend for the spring game, and I'm getting very heavy Texas vibes from him. And it was funny. We were talking to him, and he was saying, he was going to leave this visit. He was going to go home, start thinking about, maybe narrowing it down, maybe just making a decision prior to the summer. And then if he can't make a decision, he'll take some official visits. And then you ask some follow-up questions, and he has one official visit scheduled, and it's to Texas, June 21st through 23rd. No other official visits are scheduled. So that kind of like little light bulb in your head goes off. It's like, is, the plan Texas? And I even joked with him. I was like, okay, so the plan is to commit to Texas, and then you're only going to visit Texas. And he laughed. But so I think that's the trend right now with James Simon. And again, they're still in it for Jordan Davison, but I think the chances are looking a little bit better for James Simon at this point in time. And I say that because LSU has already taken 2 running backs in their class, and that was the trend prior to that. It was James Simon was going to go to LSU, Jordan Davis in Texas. LSU took Harlan Berry and the other kid's name is escaping me. So they have 2 guys. So does that open the door for James Simon to come to Austin?
Hank, someone on our Coda text line asked about Keelan Russell, the Duncanville quarterback that's been the state champion these last few years.
Yeah, so interesting situation there. He had track on Saturday afternoon in Waco. So he came down to Austin Saturday night, spent the night at a hotel, came to visit Texas on Sunday. And he was one of the guys we were watching closest this week. And, what would he get an offer? Was Texas going to, make a push to bring him in? And I think there's a lot of different things going into this. I think Texas really likes him. I think they want to offer him. But at the same time, you kind of look at it like you got KJ Lacey, who obviously you like a lot. You want in your class as well. You have him and his whole family on campus this weekend. Do you want to bring in another quarterback, offer them the same weekend? I don't know, just like from a perception standpoint, I feel like maybe that's not what you would really want to do. Because I think they like him enough to offer him. I think there's heavy interest in him. They wouldn't have brought him in for a visit if they didn't. But he left campus on Sunday without an offer. We caught up with him last night, and it didn't hurt Texas's chances in the long run. He's always said Texas is a dream school, and that's one of the offers he wants most. But they just haven't offered yet. And earlier this spring, talking to sources, the feeling was Texas wants to take 2 quarterbacks in this class from the high school ranks. You got KJ, you want him. And do you want to, a second guy just from a number standpoint? After Quinn Ewers, you have Arch Manning, Trey Owens on your roster. You have 2 scholarship quarterbacks. You probably need 4, or definitely 3. So that's still the question. I'm not sure if that's the route they're still going to go. But I think if they do decide to go that way, Keelan Russell is the guy they're going to eventually target. Then the question becomes, does he want to join a 2 quarterback class? I don't think KJ Lacey cares. I think, if they offer Keelan and he commits, I think KJ Lacey's fine with that. I think, does Keelan's getting recruited to be QB1 at several different places, Florida, maybe even Alabama. He's going on an official visit to Ole Miss. And obviously he's committed to SMU. So, people are telling him, you can come in and compete to be the guy. Whereas, if you come to Texas, you're competing with KJ. Trey Owens is looking really good. So maybe the path to playing time isn't as quick there. So we'll see. But still had a really good visit. Had a good time talking to Sark, talking to Milwee. So we'll see how that, kind of goes towards the end of the summer.